Aceway Altanse, bonjour everyone. My name is Louis DeJager, Region 2 Director. I've been serving you in the position of Acting Vice President for the past year. I want you to know that it has been an honor and a very humbling experience for me. Besides the work that I participate in provincially and federally, I still continue to volunteer in my home community of Chilliwack. I continue to work tirelessly on our community's COVID grocery work plan, transporting our elders to doctors and specialist appointments, and helping out at community events. Region 2 is comprised of 6 communities: the Chilliwack Métis Association, the Fraser Valley Métis Association, Wachia Métis Society in Langley, the North Fraser Métis Association, and the reorganized community of the new Surrey Delta Métis Association. Our communities make up 30% of the citizens of MNBC. With a population of over 6,500, there is a lot of work to be done, and a lot of work yet to do. I am passionate about staying the course, continuing to strengthen our regional governance at the community level, and advocating for Métis needs wherever we need our voices heard. I want to thank those who have sent me messages of support to consider running for Vice President. At this time, I would like to respectfully decline. I believe that more than ever, our nation needs stability. Walter Minot has put his name forward, and I support his campaign in being the next Vice President. Walter is kind. He is knowledgeable in areas like Aboriginal housing, governance, and carries strong cultural values and ties to our northern communities. I encourage you to help me support Walter in becoming the next Vice President of MNBC. Get out and vote. Chimikwich.
Welcome to another edition of Métis Warrior here with Timothy and Alexandria.
Hello, everybody.
And so today, we got a show for you today, and there was many different ways we could have approached this show. Trust us on that one. Let's just say that we're not happy with the president of the MNBC at this time. We're actually disappointed with the president of the MNBC at this time. Seems that she felt that some of the questions that we were asking, that you people have emailed us that live in British Columbia and are members of the MNBC, you know who you are. Y'all by the masses have sent us questions. We in turn did what we said we was going to do. We sent the questions to the MNBC. We sent the top 5 questions. Y'all had more questions, but we sent the top 5. It appears that there's people within the MNBC that think that those questions are inappropriate, which is very disheartening because you would think that a president of MNBC, a president that we supported, not just us, but a lot of you out there in British Columbia supported, would actually be open to any and all questions that her citizens may have. It does not appear so, because we've asked her several questions, and I want to just go ahead and read you, and you can read your screenshot right there. The first question that we asked: are senior directors of MNBC all Métis? Then we said, if not, please explain why or how MNBC is set up to fill senior positions for people that are not Métis. Now, we already knew the answer to that question before we sent the question. We just wanted to see what the response was going to be, because we assumed there was a reason that they may have senior directors in positions that are not Métis, and we were looking for what those reasons may be. The feedback that we got from a very reliable, good source within the Métis Nation of British Columbia is that those people were hired prior to this new board coming on, with the exception, of course, of Lisa. Lisa was there when these people were actually hired. And so, with that being said, we thought that she would be the person that could actually explain this. She's chosen not to answer that question. We hear that her attorneys, the legal, hey, this is what we're hearing, her lawyers at Métis Nation of British Columbia lawyers are advising her not to answer some of our questions. And this is one of the questions that didn't get answered. So this must be one of the questions that they advised her not to answer. Now let's go ahead and go on to the question number 2 that we asked. Would you, as president of MNBC, support a staff union? Now, the reason why we asked that question is because we're going to get into the new CEO of Métis Nation of British Columbia, and what we heard was that the old CEO, Daniel Fontaine, was not supportive of a union within the Métis Nation of British Columbia staff, within their own people right there. That is what we heard. So that is why we asked the question, would you, as president of MNBC, support a staff union? Again, a question that was not answered. But we do know the majority of the board would indeed support that. But not just, it's not about just supporting the union. What we know is that they support the right of their employees or staff to get a union, get involved in the union if they choose to do that. So they support that right, and they don't feel like it's their right. They feel like it's a right that should be made among the people. But again, Lisa Don Smith, no comment on that question. Number 3, several citizens have claimed, this was a question that we sent her, several citizens have claimed in the past, and remember in the past, she would have been there, an outside party from workplace safety was brought in to help various problems within MNBC, and we asked for her response. Again, no answer. Zip, zero, nothing, nada. No answer there, buddy. And so, now my question would be, because I know we're just on question number 3, but why in the hell would somebody not answer these questions that you citizens, you members of the Métis Nation of British Columbia, have? Because we didn't invent these questions. These are questions that were sent to us. We made it clear that these questions were emailed to us or either messaged to us in some way or fashion for us to ask the Métis Nation of British Columbia. We were told that people couldn't get answers. We found that kind of hard to believe because we've always gotten answers, right? But then we didn't get an answer to that one either. So, wow. What the hell kind of lawyers do you got at the Métis Nation of British Columbia that you can't answer these first 3 questions? But then let's go into question number 4. Does MNBC President think it is important that the CEO be well-versed on Métis culture? The reason why we asked that question is because we were told the old CEO was not well-versed on the Métis culture, which begs the question, why in the hell was he the CEO of a Métis organization? To my knowledge, and we will go over a statement that we received here in a little bit that we did receive from the Métis Nation of British Columbia, but I believe that this was also a question that was not answered. But we are told the new CEO is very well versed on Métis culture. In fact, she is Métis and she is good for the staff and the citizens. Now let us go into number 5. The number 5 question was to tell us about the new CEO. They did answer that question. And I can tell you, in the email that they sent us, as a matter of fact, the people that work as senior directors that are not Métis, guess what? This is nothing against y'all. This is nothing personal against y'all. The question was there senior directors that were not Métis, which, again, we already had gotten answers to that before we sent that questions out. No answer, but this was not in any way, shape, or form anything against them. They are put into the positions. They are doing the positions.
And I think what I really have a problem with, and everybody out there should have a problem, is when you're a president or you're in a leadership position, you should be approachable, accountable, and transparent. And the 5 questions that were sent were legitimate concerns. They were legitimate, statements from concerns from Métis Nation of BC citizens. So, for a president to not answer the questions and have to get a legal team involved, red flags come
Red
up for me,
flags.
because what are you afraid of? What are you hiding from? I mean, these are legitimate questions. They weren't from outer space. These are concerns, questions that citizens of Métis Nation of BC have. And for a leader to be so nonchalant and pass the buck or pass it off to somebody else, to me, is not leadership material. That's my personal opinion. That's not leadership material. You've got to have the stamina. You've got to have the courage. You got to have the guts to be approachable, accessible to legitimate questions, folks.
And let me just say this. Before we got this statement from the Métis Nation of British Columbia, we actually invited Lisa to come on our show to answer these questions. Oh, hell no. There was no coming on to the show, which we can understand. A lot of people are not about coming on and doing interviews, especially with us, because a lot of people know we ask some very hard questions. But in the past, we've been very supportive of the Métis Nation of British Columbia. We were kind of shocked when we not only did we not get an interview from the Métis Nation British Columbia president, but she did not appoint anyone else to actually come on and answer the questions. And that is very concerning and should be concerning for all the members of the Métis Nation of British Columbia. We're not saying that the Métis Nation of British Columbia is bad, that it's a bad organization. As a matter of fact, the majority of the board is actually very good, transparent people. And they're actually doing the right things for the Métis people. Our complaint here is with the president currently, who does not seem to be doing the right things for the people when she considers citizens' questions to be inappropriate. At no point in time should any citizens' questions be inappropriate. And my question would be, what the hell kind of lawyers are they using out there? What the hell kind of lawyers are they using that are advising people not to answer questions? And I don't understand it. I really don't understand it, and that should be a concern. And down the road, maybe there will be a change in the seat of president. Um, with that being said, we'd also like to say that Louis de Jaguar is definitely, definitely a transparent, honest person. At the end of this video, you will see his video speech that he's given about how he is stepping down as vice president. He's not going to run for reelection. That is a man who did 4 years as vice president, and he's not a careerist in this, and he's somebody that's been very transparent. We've interviewed many times. We consider this guy good for any Métis organization, not just him, but Dean Gladue. We consider it good for the Métis Nation. And also June, we consider June good for the Métis Nation. And so I just want to understand, have people understand that we're not attacking board members or other members of the MNBC at all, even those that are not Métis. That's not what we're doing. What we're referring to is the problem that the president had with citizen questions. As a matter of fact, would you like to read some of this statement here?
Well, this is a statement, and this was all spurned when there has been posting on different public groups on social media about how CEO Daniel Fontaine was no longer CEO. He was replaced with an acting CEO, Colette Trudeau, and that's what spurned all this, because there was really nothing. There was no statement out for a couple of days on what was transpiring, why this was happening. And we did receive a statement from the Métis Nation of British Columbia, and it starts out: the Métis Nation of British Columbia appoints acting deputy minister and chief executive officer, and it's dated March 16th, 2022, out of Surrey, BC. And I'll read the statement, and I quote: Métis Nation British Columbia MNBC has appointed Colette Trudeau as acting deputy minister and chief executive officer at Métis Nation of British Columbia. Ms. Trudeau also serves as Senior Director of Operations and Administration, Digital Government, Women and Youth, and has been with MNBC for 13 years. And it goes on to say that MNBC thanks Daniel Fontaine for his years of service and wishes him well in his future endeavors. And I just want to kind of stop before I read it on. And I know, I believe that he was appointed CEO in 2020. So it's only been, it hasn't been years as CEO. Maybe they 2 or 3 or a year and a half is considered years to them.
Maybe. Well, I mean, from what I understand, his contract was about to be up, and I think the contracts for most CEOs is about 18 months. So yeah, we're looking at a little less than 2 years. But I believe that he was one of the Clara holdouts that was still in there.
Well, it's been alleged, and several people have indicated this to us, that it was Clara that appointed Daniel Fontaine as CEO. And I'll go on to the rest of the statement, and I quote: MNBC remains steadfast in its commitment to close the gap on the quality of life of the more than 90,000, here's that word, self-identifying Métis people in the province through the provision of culturally relevant social and economic programs and services. MNBC continues to welcome Métis people home to their nation and now has over 22,000 registered citizens. MNBC has accomplished a great deal on behalf of its citizens, including the acquisition of land for affordable housing, childcare spaces, and a range of other program and services to help Métis individuals, children, and families. MNBC is proud of the ongoing delivery of these critically important programs and services for citizens. MNBC Board of Directors, chartered communities, and staff continue with the important work to create financial autonomy, self-government for the nation, and raise cultural awareness of Métis people in BC. End of quote. And it's signed by Nick Hosendid, and he's the
Again, a very nice guy. Nothing against Nick at all. I mean, nothing against Nick. Nice guy. But again, our questions were not generated from us. It was generated from the citizens. So people have to understand that. Uh, Obviously, people have a right to know who's holding what positions, why people wanted to know if this guy was Métis or not, or other people were Métis or not, other senior board members. That's their own business and their own reasons for wanting to know that. But because I guess they was not getting answers or getting anywhere with anything concerning that, they reached out to us, and then we got on the story and reached out. But we never expected there to be an issue with that question, because there could be numerous reasons why you would have someone not Métis in a position. Like if you're a nonprofit, obviously I don't understand all the requirements of nonprofits, but I know Alexandria was talking earlier about it, and maybe one of the reasons that you would have a non-Métis on the board, or in any position, not as a part of the board of directors, but I mean in any position within MNBC, is because you're a nonprofit and maybe you're required to do that. I don't know. And so it was a legitimate, honest question. There was no conspiracy behind it. It was just a question, and they could have answered it and gave us an answer without making it this big, like, oh, this is a conspiracy thing, And yeah, I don't understand it.
Well, really, I mean, these, when you're asking questions about the board and senior directors of the board, I mean, a lot of everyday Métis citizens may not know, as Timothy just said, the dynamics between a nonprofit corporation and the legalities. If for federal funding, you have to have, doctors, lawyers, as an example, hypothetical, on your board. We don't know that. But again, it was a legitimate question, and not a question that should have raised anybody's back or any kind of animosity, or really, I don't understand that.
Now, did you read that whole statement? Because I know there was two things of it.
I read the whole statement, certainly.
Okay. Well, a very small statement considering we've been pushing this since we consolidated all the email questions into just 5 questions, because man, what a nightmare to even get that answered. And then you get a response like that. And obviously, the response did not refer to 4 of the 5 questions that we actually asked. But we do want to congratulate the new Métis Nation British Columbia CEO, Colette. And so, congratulations on your new position. We hear that she's going to be good for the Métis Nation British Columbia citizens and staff, as we've heard that Daniel Fontaine was actually butting heads, so to speak, figuratively speaking, with some of the staff members there and causing a lot of issues. So it seems to be a welcome change. And so we do know that the board of MNBC, the actual board of members, are split somewhat on the whole Daniel being replaced issue. That they're not united in that decision. This is what we've heard from various reliable, good sources. And so, yeah.
And what we're told from a very reliable source is Colette Trudeau holds a lot of the MNBC values and has really grown up working with BC Métis people from a youth director to the director of operations. So it seems like that she has a lot of experience under her belt working for MNBC, where, I mean, there's been a lot of people saying that maybe allegedly Daniel Fontaine wasn't well versed with the culture of Métis people and didn't take the position of CEO, from that perspective.
And this is not attacking Daniel, because I want to make it clear that there were some questions that we had about 3-4 weeks ago. And I know that one of the people that was contacted was Daniel. I know that he did not have any kind of personal issue with us, and we don't have no kind of personal issue with him. And so this is nothing against him. We only reporting what we've been told by various sources out there, and we wish him luck as well in his future endeavors. And but again, if you're butting heads, as we were told, butting heads with some of the staff out there, maybe the change was good. And we hear that he may be running for office somewhere soon. I don't know how true that is. It's speculative, but he could be. And we also heard that he was not versed in the Métis culture, which would beg the question again why he was running a Métis organization.
And again, recently, apparently, Daniel Fontaine has been nominated as the 2022 inductee Canada's Marketing, Advertising, PR, and Communications Hall of Fame. So he was recently nominated for that as well. So, we wish him well in his endeavors. And like I said, it seems like Colette Trudeau has, like I said, experience under her belt.
And
But
she's Métis and she's versed in the culture.
that's right. And I think it's just how this all transpired and the gap of time reporting this, change of CEO to Citizens that sort of created some maybe miscommunication, misunderstanding when there's that time frame of
Well,
gap.
there's a process, and I think the process was handled poorly. Because I think before you even announce the new CEO, I think that the process should have been completed. We were told there was a process that had to be completed, and the process was being completed as we actually done this show, to our knowledge. And then the statement, of course, this would be one way that they announce it publicly. I'm sure they're going to announce it publicly in other ways as well. But yeah, I think that the citizens should have been the first people informed, because that's to Lisa. Understand this: y'all get funding because you have Métis people in your organization. I mean, without the numbers, how much funding do you actually think that you will get? You will not get all that funding. Sure, you could get like if every Métis withdrew from the Métis Nation of British Columbia, they could still get some type of funding, but it would not be to the extent that they're getting with their members, with their citizens. And so they got to understand that the citizens absolutely matter. And this whole dealing with Lisa on these 4 questions issue kind of opened our eyes and it validated a lot of the people's complaints against her that we found that we were kind of like baffled by, because we thought, well, these people are transparent, they're answering everything we ask them, but then when you throw these questions at them, it's like, whoa, we can't answer that, we can't answer those questions. Why in the hell not? Don't seem like difficult questions to ask. And I don't know, but their lawyers apparently were told did not want them to answer that question, and Lisa was very standoffish with responding to those questions. It seemed like those were the right 5 questions, so that tells us that the citizens have some serious good questions out there that are not getting answered. They told us that these questions were not getting answered, and now we believe them because I absolutely believe that they're not getting there. So I just thought maybe they were asking the wrong people with inside the Métis Nation of British Columbia. But now I realize even if you ask the right people, even if you went and asked the president directly, hell, you're not going to get them answered because we didn't even get them answered. And so we've been very supportive of Lisa in the past. Let's understand that. But we are highly disappointed with Lisa right now. And it seems like she's going in a direction that is not for in the best interest of her citizens. Let's just put it that way. There's a numerous ways that we could have approached this show, that we were going to approach this show, and this is very mild compared to the way that we are actually going to do this show. And the reason why is because we recognize the board at the Métis Nation of British Columbia is actually being a positive thing for the Métis in British Columbia. And yeah, there's a few bad apples there. A few bad apples. Let's understand that.
Well, the way you put it there, in any organization, there's bad apples. And really, again, I'm going to reiterate this fact. A president, a leader of an organization should be able to answer legitimate questions without running to a board of directors to get approval or okay. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. You should be well versed enough in leadership roles that you should be able to respond to legitimate questions that are being raised by your citizens. We know so many other organizations that just flat out refuse to answer, and they continue on their merry way.
And Lisa may think she's going to get reelected with this mentality. Lisa, you're not going to get reelected with this mentality. Understand that we were behind the scenes in that last election. You better understand that the people that elected you expected you to actually serve them. You understand? People have positions and jobs where you serve the people. Your job is to serve the people. You're not a damn dictator. And I don't think, without a lot of the support that you had this last time around, that you would have actually got elected, that you will actually get elected and reelected in the future. And maybe you're not going to run again. I don't know. Maybe you're just going to retire from it all. I have no idea. But then if you were going to retire from it all, why wouldn't you do the right things for your people anyway? I mean, anyway, why not do the right things? That's why I don't understand. But we'll deal more with this towards the end of the show. We'll come back to the Métis Nation of British Columbia.
But before we do that, let's sort of rehash what our last guest Charlene said, is that when Métis citizens do not get answers from their governing body, they're forced to start social media groups on Facebook because they're not getting legitimate answers. They get frustrated. There's a lot of animosity when they're trying to get answers from their governing organization, and they've got to go on social media, and a lot of it is misconstrued, and it turns negative when it doesn't have to get to that level if the leadership was just approachable, transparent, and accountable, and serve the people.
Exactly. And, I just think there were some unwise decisions here. In my personal opinion, I'd get rid of your legal team that you have there. Hire new attorneys, because if you have attorneys that are advising you not to answer citizen questions, then that would mean something ain't right. Like, if you can't answer questions and you have some kind of reservation about answering questions, something is not right.
Well, I mean, I guess the 5 questions that we sent, maybe hit a sore spot or it was a raw wound,
Yeah.
and they didn't want to deal with it at this particular time. But man, the reaction was quick and fast, boy. I can tell you that to those 5 questions that I didn't expect that type of reaction. I really didn't.
Yeah, we know a lot more than what Lisa may think we know. But I can tell you this, we at least, yeah, we know a lot more than you think we know. And so I'm going to tell you, we know a lot more. The majority of the board is really good and good for the people in British Columbia. There is progress being made in MNBC. There's good things happening there. Unfortunately, there's some like bad apples. When it comes to bad apples, it's time to elect those people out of offices. And Lisa, you still have time to turn it around and do the right thing. There should never be a question inappropriate from a citizen that should be considered inappropriate question from any citizen. Any citizen, any lawyer that may advise you of that. Wow. That is concerning to us on many levels.
And you know what? Just like when you place a one piece of rotten fruit beside fresh fruit, it doesn't take long for the fresh fruit to turn rotten. So you can always turn a negative into a positive, and there's always hope for everything. So keep in mind, citizens in BC, the BC by election again is April 27th, 2022. Get out and vote.
Get out and vote. Lewis made his recommendation in the video. We're going to let you listen to that towards the end of the show, who you should vote for Vice President. And let me tell you something. A man like Lewis that's honest and transparent, if he makes a recommendation on somebody, yeah, you probably should take that recommendation very seriously and consider that candidate. Of course, we don't live in British Columbia, so that will be up to the citizens of British Columbia. But, you know, when it comes to that type of issue, but we do want to find out who's running against him. See, when we were going to get involved in the elections, as we said we're going to do, it would be like to replace people that are doing very poor jobs in there. Not to, if you got a bunch of new people who are not proven yet and they're running against each other, that's a little bit harder. But I do take the recommendation of Lewis very seriously in this video. Okay, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I think just to clarify this for a lot of people that may not realize or understand, a treasurer of any organization, a Métis organization, or any organization, a treasurer is key to everything. They're involved in financials, they're involved in the money, and money really is what keeps a Métis organization going because you receive federal money, federal money from the federal government to fund your programs and services that you're offering your citizens. So a treasurer is a very, an important position to hold. And Métis citizens should be aware of who their treasurer is, etc. And I think I'm going to talk about again Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. We know that Robert LaFontaine had sent in his letter of resignation
December.
the end of December 2021, and I was sent a screenshot of the MNS website where he's still listed as treasurer, and it is what now March 16th, and I'm not understanding what people.
Well, as of the time that we're actually recording this show, now by the time the show comes up and you people hear it, maybe that will be removed. We don't know, but as of this time of recording, it's actually still listed.
And I mean, why? I mean, if he's no longer the treasurer, just take his name off and leave it blank if you've got to have a general assembly or you've got to have a meeting. But certainly, in my opinion, it's misleading to your citizens to have an individual that has tendered their letter of resignation. That's just my personal opinion, folks. It really is.
Yeah, it's misleading to the citizens in Saskatchewan. We do know some people's been complaining about the secretary that has been caught up in some type of scandal out there. And they're complaining about her, saying she's not transparent, blah, blah, blah. We should do a show on her. But at the same time, we find that complaints are one-sided because how in the hell can you complain about her when Glenn McCollum himself is in charge of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, and you may not think that you misrepresenting who the treasurer is on your website is a big deal, but you're damn right it's a big deal. Who in the hell is the treasurer of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan right now, and why is Robert still listed as your treasurer? That's actually a big deal. That is not transparency either. So, it is what it is. People need to understand that you can't go against one member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, the secretary, and say she's caught up in some type of scandal, but then not point out what Glenn's doing. What the hell is that?
I mean, okay, it's sort of deflecting again. You're really deflecting to another issue, and it's just a lot of Métis organizations deflect, or people deflect from an issue to take the spotlight off of and that particular issue. That's just how it is.
And I'll tell you what, it's an easy fix. All they got to do is go on their website and edit it. And maybe by the time the show comes out, it will be fixed. People can go to the Métis Nation Saskatchewan website and check it out, see if it's still fixed or not fixed. It takes like 10 minutes maybe to edit it.
Well, Métis organizations get millions of dollars from the federal government. You certainly must have an IT person that is managing your website. Shouldn't that be part of their job descriptions? I mean, it just seems like Timothy said, a relatively simple, fast, easy fix.
So the two top complaints that we see coming out of Saskatchewan right now, and then the major one is not knowing who the hell the treasurer is. So that's number one. Number two is the secretary is caught up in some kind of scandal where I guess she's being asked to step down, and from a different organization, something else that she's involved with. I personally haven't looked at that. Some of our team members have looked at that, and when they went to tell me about it, I told them, look, I don't even want to hear it, because if you're not going to talk about the treasurer, which I consider a bigger issue when it comes to transparency, then I don't even want to hear the issue about the secretary until we can get past the issue about the treasurer. Let's get past that issue, get that out there, be transparent with that, and then let's move on to other issues. Because I think the transparency issue with the treasurer and people knowing who the hell the treasurer is, the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, is an important issue, and that needs to be addressed before you start addressing other issues in other areas.
Exactly. And again, we want to thoughts and prayers to everybody in the Ukraine and everybody that has Ukrainian relatives out there during this difficult time with all the atrocities that are happening. And something that has got a bee in my bonnet, and because it is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I think it's very, very important. A lot of you have heard about sanctions against Russia, Russia elite, etc., going on to try and this atrocities with Ukraine. And I have personally a problem with Buehler Industries Inc., and they're located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And this is not a news story, because I know there was a news report March 21st in 2014 when the Ukrainian Canadian Congress in Manitoba was calling on the federal government to freeze assets of several Russian directors. So this is a story that has been happening since 2014, and I'm really disgusted in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He's so, supporting Ukraine, etc. Why wasn't the CEO director now, and he's actually I'm not you'll see, I can't even pronounce it, and I certainly don't want to butcher it, but he is the current CEO and director, and he's a Russian national on the federal council of the Lead Action Party. So they even did a story recently, and it's interesting that you may find this interesting that Bueller is 96.7% owned by Rosselmash, and it's a Russian company. So it has a Russian CEO and Russian directors. And I know a lot of people were complaining that, there people are going to lose jobs with Bueller Industries if they get sanctioned. No, I think what needs to be happen is the Russian CEO and the three remaining board of directors, since they're Russian nationalists, should be sanctioned. And I don't know why they're not being sanctioned. Again, there was a news story March 2nd, 2022, on how the Russian director resigned from Bueller Industries after he made statements that he was supporting the invasion of Ukraine, and he's supposed to be within Putin's inner circle. So certainly I'm disgusted on why Justin Trudeau is not putting sanctions on the CEO and the other Russians that remain on the board of Bueller Industries in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Yeah, that needs to be done, Trudeau. Step it up. Get them sanctions on these Russian companies is in Canada right now. Step it up. Do the right thing, man. Do the right thing. We heard Zelensky. We heard Zelensky, especially when he was speaking not just to Canada but also the U.S. when he was asking them to sanction businesses, and it needs to be done. You got to do it. You got to do it, and do the right thing. What's happening in Ukraine is completely wrong. Russia needs to pull out of there. Uh, you know, and I don't understand why the UN has not stepped in to help. I really don't.
That's just another ongoing saga. But like I said, I certainly don't think that Bueller Industries, the CEO and other board of directors that are Russian nationalists associated with that action party should be unscathed from sanctions. We're not asking for Bueller itself to be sanctioned, but certainly the CEO and the other two Russian directors, because the two remaining the CEO and one of the directors are members of Putin friendly member of Russia's party of action. So certainly I think that should be addressed because it certainly is happening in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I think so. And like I said, I'm still sort of uh, gobsmacked by the response by Lisa Dawn Smith. I think I've got to let it sort of digest a while because I'm just really taken aback on her response.
Yeah, her lack of response, period. And like I said, we know a lot more than she thinks we knows. That we know a lot more than what she thinks we may know. And let's talk about the word inappropriate. 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 What is inappropriate is a president not answering citizens' questions. What is appropriate is citizens asking questions. When a president does not answer the questions, the appropriate questions that was been asked by citizens, why in the hell is these questions not being asked? Where is the full transparency, Lisa Smith, president of the Metis Nation of British Columbia? Have you now flipped the script and forgot that you were elected and you were so against a certain way that people were operating and ruling, so to speak, these leaders were operating, and then it seems like now you're becoming more of the same, and that's against the progression that the board was making in British Columbia. You're not going with the board. It seems like you're going away from the board. It does not seem like there's a union there or there's a unity with your leadership and the board. There seems to be some issues there. And so it's very disappointing because, again, we've been supportive of the Métis Nation of British Columbia and we've been supportive of Lisa Smith. However, I question the support that we've given Lisa Smith. She still has time to change and do the right things, but if she wants to keep going down that road where she's talking to legal lawyers or whatever and saying, oh, we can't answer those questions, then you're not the right person to be president. You need to step down and let someone with courage get up in there that can answer the questions, because I'm going to tell you, there is no citizen question that is inappropriate that cannot be answered, and you should be able to answer all those questions that we sent to you. And why you avoided them, that's the conspiracy. Why did you avoid the questions? Why was those 4 questions avoided? Can somebody
5. There
please?
were 5 or 4. You're saying 4. Yes.
4 questions were avoided. She answered the 5th one, or they answered the 5th one. But my thing is, why was 4 of those questions avoided? That is an area of concern when you're looking at the president of the Métis Nation of British Columbia. It's a huge area of concern. You tell me what lawyer, folks, I'm going to put the questions back on the screen. Take a look at them. Now, you tell me what is inappropriate about those 4 questions that they did not answer. And can anybody answer the question, why would they not answer these questions? Why would their lawyer team advise them not? And we were told, we didn't actually personally hear this from their lawyer team, but we were told by damn good sources that their legal team, somebody in their lawyers there had advised them not to answer the questions. So I don't know what lawyer or whatever, or what she considers the legal team there, but whoever that is, if they're telling you not to answer citizens' questions, you should probably get a new legal team for sure, because that ain't gonna fly. Because that organization don't belong to you, Lisa. That organization belongs to the citizens of British Columbia, not you. If anybody would like to post in the comment section your answers on why you think they did not answer the questions. And obviously, it would be great to see the comments if people want to comment, and let us know. Let us know why you think they wouldn't answer these questions. If any former staff members or employees would like to comment on this show, go ahead and comment in the comment section. And it'd be great to see what some of the comments are.
I think I'll reiterate what Timothy said, that any questions from a Métis citizen in your organization should never be deemed highly inappropriate. Never. What I find is highly inappropriate is the smoke screen and not being able to answer questions. I think maybe you should ponder and question your ability to lead and serve your citizens to the best of your ability. And Métis citizens, this may not be the organization for you if you can't get legitimate answers and have a
Well,
respectful dialogue.
Well, we know that Lisa, the president of MNBC, has been the roadblock. Let's use the word roadblock. There is good board members there. I wouldn't say that this ain't the right organization for the Métis in British Columbia, because you do have good board members there. What I would say is that obviously this may not be the appropriate president to lead this organization, because Lisa Smith seems to be the roadblock. She seems to actually be it makes no sense to me why this was not answered. Lisa, citizens' questions are never inappropriate. Yeah. Well, I mean, you might have your mouth open right now wondering why we're using the word inappropriate, but it's appropriate for citizens to ask questions. And you know damn well we've been very supportive of you during your little election there where you actually won. And, it's I don't see you being reelected at all under the current mentality that you have. I don't see you as being the right president, and you can still make the change, and we can still have the dialogue. And I think communication is very important, and the dialogue needs to be there, not just with us. I get irritated as shit when citizens have to communicate with us to talk to their organizations. Citizens should be getting their questions answered from their organizations. When citizens have to communicate to us in the masses that they've been doing, and trust me, we verify these citizens that they are living in British Columbia, that they're not from any other area, before we compile the complaints and say, and because we take out the illegitimate questions and the actual legitimate questions from legitimate citizens that you have there. And I feel very disappointed right now in you. I don't feel like we supported the right candidate. I really don't. And I think that's some of the concern that a lot of citizens may have, because I do know that one of the elders out there had pointed out that there was a lot of button heads between the CEO and the staff members and other things going on. that one of the elders thinks that you actually supported. And again, understand this. No matter how bad you think this show may be, we were going to be a lot harsher in this show. A lot harsher. And so this should be a wake-up call to you. You need to start serving your people properly, and you need to start doing the right things within your organization, because I don't see that happening right now. And the question would be, Clara was removed for certain reasons, but how better are you actually right now, Lisa Smith?
And for citizens in BC, we're told that you have there's 2 years to go before there's a general election in MNBC, because April 27th, 2022 again is the by-election. So there's 2 more years to go for the general election in BC.
So she's got 2 years that she can actually start doing the right things, prove yourself, do the right things, don't avoid questions, be more transparent, and prove you're a good leader. Or you can continue sitting down the same path, and maybe the board would actually even vote to remove you as president, because there is issues here with you being a roadblock to the progression in British Columbia, especially for the MNBC and their progression and the good things that are happening. You seem to be the roadblock, Lisa. You actually seem to be the roadblock. You seem to be the one that wants to cut off communication from your board members and from the media. I mean, you know, you got to understand, not just the media, but communication between yourself, the board, and citizens. You're turning, it seems to us, like a damn dictator. And what the hell good is that, really, Lisa? What good is that?
Well, we're told by a reliable, credible source that legislation in Métis Nation of BC says that, again, MNBC speaks with one voice, and that one voice would be Lisa Dawn Smith, the president. So this is not an example of MNBC speaking with one voice. This is not the example.
Well, if that voice ain't speaking, then nobody's speaking, right? So to the board out there, this is what I want to address the MNBC board. How long are you going to allow this president to be the roadblock? Y'all have power. Y'all have voting power. There's things y'all can do. Y'all got rid of Clara. There's things you can do if she wants to continue to be a roadblock. You can actually overthrow this president. You know you can. This president can actually be asked to leave. This president, there's ways that y'all got rid of Clara. So I don't see how you cannot get rid of Lisa too if she's going to continue to be a roadblock for y'all. So to the board, you need to do the right thing. You can't just sit there and let somebody have that mentality that they're not going to answer citizens' questions. 4 of our questions still remain unanswered, and we do want answers to these 4 questions. And actually, to be honest with you, we know unofficially what the answers are. But we want an official answer coming out of the Métis Nation of British Columbia, not the unofficial answer. And so Lisa's never given us any answers, unofficial or official, for those 4 questions. And so your citizens want them answered. Answer the questions, Lisa. Answer your citizens' questions. Is the board of the Métis Nation of British Columbia going to allow a president to sit there and essentially ignore the citizens? That's it for me.
And again, if a leader or a president of any Métis organization has to be convinced to do anything, or to be convinced to be transparent to their citizens, red flag. A leader should lead with pride, courage, transparency, and accountability, folks. And again, I'm gobsmacked on what transpired with BC. That's all I can say, folks.
And it's sad to see Lewis step down. Well, you will be missed, Lewis. And here you can take another listen to his video. Take a listen, and we'll see you in the next show.
Take care.
Bonjour, everyone. My name is Louis DeJager, Region 2 Director. I've been serving you in the position of Acting Vice President for the past year. I want you to know that it has been an honor and a very humbling experience for me. Besides the work that I participate in provincially and federally, I still continue to volunteer in my home community of Chilliwack. I continue to work tirelessly on our community's COVID grocery work plan, transporting our elders to doctors and specialist appointments, and helping out at community events. Region 2 is comprised of 6 communities: the Chilliwack Métis Association, the Fraser Valley Métis Association, Wachia Métis Society in Langley, the North Fraser Métis Association, and the reorganized community of the new Surrey Delta Métis Association. Our communities make up 30% of the citizens of MNBC. With a population of over 6,500, there is a lot of work to be done, and a lot of work yet to do. I am passionate about staying the course, continuing to strengthen our regional governance at the community level, and advocating for Métis needs wherever we need our voices heard. I want to thank those who have sent me messages of support to consider running for Vice President. At this time, I would like to respectfully decline. I believe that more than ever, our nation needs stability. Walter Minot has put his name forward, and I support his campaign in being the next Vice President. Walter is kind. He is knowledgeable in areas like Aboriginal housing, governance, and carries strong cultural values and ties to our northern communities. I encourage you to help me support Walter in becoming the next Vice President of MNBC. Get out and vote. Chimikwich.